What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel or the podcast, depending on where you're listening to this episode. So today I'm doing something a little different, and I'm responding to a YouTube comment. Now, not in a negative way, but really just to bring awareness to a topic that I feel like most of us really struggle with as wedding videographers and still struggle with to some extent inside our businesses today. So that topic is really all about pricing. Are we undervaluing ourselves? Are we overpricing ourselves out of a job? Or worse, not raising our prices effectively? So just for some more context and without wasting any more of your time, let's just go ahead and read the comment. This commenter was responding to a video I made last year when things were really slow in my business. It had been like 3 months of silence with inquiries and consultation calls. And every call would end with the infamous, "We love your work, we're just going in a different direction." And, that's very defeating as someone who does this full time, as someone who relies on inquiries and bookings and, money coming in the door. It was very defeating. And so I just wanted to make a video about that and share the reality with everyone, because as we go through seasons in our businesses and in our lives, things aren't always great. And this level of transparency just helps us be cautiously optimistic and aware that not every month is going to be financially amazing. So we have to prepare ourselves both mentally, emotionally, financially, so that we can weather those storms when they come, because I promise you they will come. So the comment reads, "So why do you think young couples should want to spend $4,000 for you to do video? In this new era of tech, they can have a friend film it with an iPhone, chop it up to look almost as good as shooting it on a prosumer camera. As photographers and videographers, we should be lucky and humble that we are getting any work at all, because today people just don't really need it. Lower your prices, my guy, take on a bit more work to balance. I would only charge $2,000 for videography and no more than $2,500 for photography, because I'm still shocked couples even pay that. Again, they could give their cousin Billy an iPhone and get close enough to being happy. You would rather not discount and stand your ground to shoot a video of a wedding. If you knocked off $2,000 from your crazy $4,500 to $6,800 price, you would still be making 50 times more than a bartender in one day, more than a nurse in one day, probably damn near more than some doctors in one day. Bad advice, and you will see as the demand for weddings plummets because the classic white wedding is becoming obsolete. You, my friend, will start charging way less, and you should, because it's crazy charging $6,800 for one day of video." Now, there's a lot to unpack with this comment for sure. For one, you can't look at it as you're making $4,000 all profit from one wedding. Like, you don't get to keep all that money. That's not how it works. There's so many different things that come out of that total investment, from expenses to contract labor to taxes to just general cost of living. So yeah, $4,000 for a wedding, you're not getting all that cash. But there's a lot that I really just want to address here when it comes to mindset, because I feel like that's the big issue. It's a mindset issue, not really about pricing. It's about how we perceive our own value. And this guy just has a very poor mentality towards the long-term worth and value of his own product and the way he's viewing my product with his limited knowledge of my own experience. So now, again, it's admirable and a little bit moronic, if I do say so myself, to think that every couple should never spend higher than $2,000 for a wedding video. But it's just unrealistic, wildly unrealistic, and unsustainable given our current economic climate for anybody who wants to do this long term. And this should not be a universal structure, because if it were, there would simply be no wedding videographers left, because everyone would burn out, plain and simple. It's like saying that everyone's mortgage or rent should be at a fixed cost of $1,500, regardless of if someone had more square footage, has more land, whether the house is updated or outdated. It's just not reality. Everyone has a different level of experience, a different product, different goals for their business. Look, I hate that money's a necessary evil just like the next person, but doing what's right for your business, for your survival, for you to have margin in life isn't something that should be vilified. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. Wedding videographers who are serious about going full-time and making a business and a name for themselves need to understand that pricing your value shouldn't be taboo or controversial. Pricing your work isn't about finding ways to make it the cheapest or most expensive option. It should be about finding your sustainable number. It's about being smart and aware of what it actually takes to make it long term, because you need to factor in a lot of different things. What covers your fixed costs? What provides for your family? What creates margin in your life gives you the ability to say no so that you can take time away to truly experience creative freedom, recharge, just rejuvenate your creativity and live life outside of your business. I mean, isn't that one of the biggest selling points of building your own business? One of the goals of building your own business is so that you can have that level of freedom and time away. And I generally think that's where we get so caught up and lost when we're building the thing. We get so trapped in that hustle culture, that grind, that 24-hour work day. And it's just not sustainable long term, because lowering your pricing and taking on more work isn't a solution. It shouldn't be a long-term solution, I should say, because this is just a pill that addresses a symptom, but it doesn't get to the root of the issue. It's actually just going to create even more symptoms as a result of this poor practice. And I know because this happened to me back in 2017. My rates ranged from $1,800 to $3,500, and I was overbooking myself. I was overworking myself and still found myself working paycheck to paycheck. So it's just not really a good idea to consider doing that long term. Now, it's okay if you want to lower your rates just for the sake of bringing cash in for that month, but it shouldn't be the long-term solution. But let's just go back to value here for a second, because of course not every couple is made the same. Every couple values different things. This we know. Some value the luxury, the details. Some value the cookie cutter, slow motion wedding videos. And some value a more artistic expression of their wedding day. And each one holds their own merit and value. Essentially, like I said before, everyone has their own product. Everyone has their own business goals, the level of experience, their unique financial circumstances, and lifestyle needs, and you should be charging appropriately based on those factors. Now, let's go to his claim about discounting for a second. I never said you shouldn't discount your work to bring money in when times are slow. I'm in the camp of do what you must to provide and survive, and if that means discounting and doing a wedding that's less than your norm, then of course, that's what you have to do to put food on the table that week. But again, it shouldn't just be a long-term solution, something that you just resort to. You should try your hardest to kind of get to the root of what's causing it before you just throw the Hail Mary and go right to discounting. Now, another point that does need to be made here is you can absolutely film weddings within the $2K range. You will probably book a lot of weddings at that price point, especially if you have quality work. But again, staying at this price point is dangerous for your mental health, for your business health, and it only works long-term if you already have additional income. If you're treating wedding videography as a hobby versus a full-time business, of course you can make that work long-term. But for anyone who is just starting out, who wants to make this a sustainable business, you need to be aware of the side effects of getting stuck in the price versus value loop, especially if you have a family or are planning on having a family. You don't want to listen to this commenter who says you should lower your rates, take on more work, more time away from your family, more time editing behind a screen, and less time living your life, because again, it is just not sustainable. And take it from me, I know, because I have been there time and time again. You will get stuck in this price versus value loop mindset and business trap that many of us fall into. In this price versus value loop, it happens when price is the dominant factor in both how you sell your services and how clients perceive your worth, rather than focusing on the actual value you bring. This loop creates a cycle where lowering your prices leads to lower perceived value, leads to more price-sensitive clients, forces you to keep prices low, which ultimately is going to lead to burnout because you're working more and getting paid less. It's going to create a lack of confidence in your ability and an unsustainable business model. And I cannot stress this enough, you guys, but undervaluing yourself has so many consequences, it's not even funny. Because one, if you price based on fear instead of value, clients who book you only do it because you're affordable. They do not do it because they value your artistry. And two, they see you as a commodity rather than an artist. They are less invested in storytelling and more concerned with you just giving them a video. And this has potential to bring on those clients that request a lot of revisions, want discounts, and expect you to work extra for free. And because you're charging less, you do have to bring on more weddings in order to cover your expenses and necessary needs in order to live and survive. And so you're just going to be in this constant loop of just feeling creatively stuck, being undervalued, exhausted, and it's just going to lead to burnout. And then you fear that if you charge more, you'll lose clients. And so you keep competing on price versus value and convince yourself that this is just how the industry works and your business never grows. When you're in this scarcity mindset, you're more receptive to making these mistakes. Bad pricing, discount decisions, and you stay in a constant state of stress. So I cannot stress this enough. This comment is so far from what you should actually do. And I'm trying to just get inside this guy's mentality, but I think there's just a lot that he is just overlooking. I think there's some lack of education here, lack of experience and knowledge with how these things work. And so really for anyone who feels like they are in that rut, they're in that loop right now, I really just want to shift this episode and talk about ways that you can shift that focus from price to value. So instead of trying to be the most affordable option, you want to become the most valuable option. And here's how you can do that. One, you want to charge based on value, not just market trends. So you want to calculate your expenses, calculate your time, filming, editing, calculate your taxes, and then set a desired profit margin. Price based on what allows you to create high quality work without burning out. And if you're booking 90% of your inquiries now, you're probably too cheap, and it's time to start considering raising your pricing just a little bit. Two, you want to build a brand, not just a service. Your brand should make couples feel like they're investing in you, not just a video. You want to showcase the emotional impact of your films, not just the deliverables. So you can improve your website, you can improve your messaging, create visual social proof to position yourself as a premium storyteller. I did this just last year, and this is really what helped shift gears, turn the tides for my business, and bring in more couples who value what I bring to the table. Three, you want to educate your clients, because clients don't always understand the difference between $1,500 and a $6,000 film, and you want to show them. And this doesn't work all the time, but it's always good to provide that level of service to couples so that they can know what to expect. They can rationalize it, they can talk it over and see what it is they actually want. What's the better long-term investment for them? It's not to educate just so that they hire you. It's to educate because you're also providing a service. You're serving other people, and you want to make sure that they have all the information they need to make the best decision for them. And ways you can do that too is by painting the picture visually. Create visual value propositions versus just telling them. And this could be, creating a custom wedding proposal with a ton of visual examples of how their wedding film will feel, sending a video text message after the inquiry to create that personal connection, elevating your body language, your copy, and your email correspondence to match your brand's values. Using testimonials are great to highlight the value of your wedding films. You want to have that proof of purchase, that proof of concept, so that couples coming to you, they can see all these positive reviews, and the likelihood of them trusting you to do the same thing for them is a lot higher. Number 4 is you want to stop appealing to budget couples. So if a couple is only looking for the cheapest option, that's not for you. You want someone that's going to value what you do specifically. So if you're trying to raise your pricing, you want to avoid showing weddings that kind of cater towards that budget wedding style, because the right clients will value your experience, your level of storytelling, and emotional impact over the price. So you want to curate your portfolio to attract couples who see wedding films as an investment, not just an unnecessary cost. And 5, you want to raise your prices with confidence. The goal is to book fewer weddings at higher rates, not more weddings at unsustainable rates. Higher prices attract couples who care about quality over just checking a box. And psychologically, there is a correlation between higher prices and trust. And couples oftentimes question, why is the price so low compared to this person? They will see the lower price as lower quality versus the higher price as the better option. Now, it doesn't work all the time, but a lot of the times it will. And higher pricing does need some sense of elevated packaging. So you want to make sure that your website, your social media, your copy, your investment page all correlates with this next level of investment. If it feels cheap, then you'll create a disconnect. And you don't want to raise prices just because someone tells you to. It needs to be intentional. As you grow, so does your pricing. So a great way to start gradually increasing your pricing is just to do it $200 every booking and just see how your market responds. If you start getting less bookings, drop it back down. But if you keep booking weddings, gradually increase until you meet your desired range. And if you're in a small town like me and bookings are generally slim and you don't see a lot of couples investing higher than $3,000 for a wedding video, you might want to consider expanding your market to cities that do kind of favor those higher ticket prices. For me, that's like Raleigh, which is an hour this way. There's Charlotte, which is an hour and a half that way. There's Asheville, there's the mountains, there's the beaches. So there's so many areas in my state that I can really expand to and reach. And then of course you can consider destination work, really branching out and going, outside of your state to help raise those prices as well. But the final thought, price is what they pay and value is what they get. I think the biggest mistake that wedding filmmakers make is thinking that clients won't pay higher rates. But the right clients will if they see the value. And if you feel stuck in the price versus value loop, you need to ask yourself, do I want to be booked because I'm the cheapest or because I create something irreplaceable? Because when you focus on value instead of price, you stop competing in the discount aisle and start building a sustainable, more fulfilling business. So, I strongly disagree with this guy's take on pricing, and I think we just need to focus on being strategic with our pricing, how we price our services to match our business needs and our personal goals. Because the truth is, we all go through seasons. I went through a season last year. Thankfully, I'm on the other side of that season. Sometimes there are just forces outside of our control holding all the cards, and it's important to analyze our business during those times of uncertainty. What are things that I can improve now that could help me weather these storms when they come up again? Look at how you can create brand awareness now. How can you elevate your website now? Work on your email automations. Work on your communications, your body language, your consultation calls. What does your experience look like through the eyes of the couple? Is it ironclad? Does your process make it to where couples at the end of that first impression phone call have that hell yes and no second thoughts? There's always something that we can work on in our business, and I don't think in times of stagnation we should feel stressed or doubting our abilities or just feeling depressed. I think we should just be proactive and think of ways that we can rejuvenate our business so that we can get through this season. So I hope you guys have found this video helpful, valuable in some way. If you did, it would mean so much if you consider liking, subscribing, drop a comment below. If you're listening to this on the road, you're heading to a wedding, I hope you go out and crush it, serve your couple well, and until next time, keep creating and telling beautiful stories. Peace.